So my new role as president of Comcast Advertising, I'm responsible for the portfolio of advertising assets that sit within that family. So firstly, we have Effectv, which is the ad sales division of Comcast Cable. Secondly, FreeWheel, which is our technology platform business, helping to sort of simplify how the new TV ecosystem works. AudienceXpress, which is a suite of media solutions that enables advertisers to buy TV against audiences on a national-wide basis, and also something that we take a lot of pride in is the role that Comcast Advertising plays, helping to shape industry initiatives in order to evolve the industry and rise the tide and with it all boats. So there's a couple of examples there that I call out. The first one is everything we do under the Go Addressable initiative, where we're looking to bring standards to addressable advertising in order to simplify executions between buyers and sellers. And we do that with partners such as Altice and Charter Spectrum Reach, DirecTV Advertising, Dish, Frontier, Vizio, etc. The second is Block Graph, which I think is a great example of something that was incubated originally within FreeWheel, and then we spun it out in partnership with Charter and Paramount, and that there is intended to provide the industry with an operating system for identity. And finally, the work we do with measurement providers by licensing aggregated set-top box viewership data to them with the goal of spurring innovation and competition within the measurement space.
Now, before I get to my next question, I just want to tell our viewers to stay tuned because James is going to share some interesting career tips later on. But before I get to that, you mentioned your experience at Effectv and FreeWheel. How did those experiences shape your future plans for Comcast Advertising?
Well, I had the privilege of working across an incredible roster of clients globally when I was at FreeWheel, and when I was running the sell-side technology business there, which gave me a front row seat into the transformation taking place across the industry, particularly as traditional television and digital come together. And then as I moved across to Effectv, it put me on the other side of the table, both as a client of FreeWheel, but also having to lead the transformation of a traditional media business and move that into a more modern, advanced advertising company. And so now I've got the privilege of being able to take those two different experiences and bring them together. The other way I look at it is that Effectv and FreeWheel, both those companies are solving for similar challenges and similar opportunities. It's just that they're doing so from a different vantage point and with a different set of assets. So if you take Effectv as an example, like many of its peers, it's focused on simplifying how advertisers are able to reach their audiences across all screens, powered by quality data, and then working on what are the solutions that will help address marketing needs at different stages, all stages of the consumer purchase funnel, and demonstrate the measurable impact of those solutions. And so on the Effectv side, in the last couple of years, there's been incredible progress with regard to executing against that value proposition. So a couple of examples. Firstly, Effectv has seen a significant shift from clients who were previously buying against content, which was being used as a proxy for audience, to buying audiences determined by algorithms powered by aggregated viewership data. In the last 2.5 years, we've tripled the amount of clients and new business that are being executed against an audience-based execution powered by data. And one of the accelerants there was in COVID, when sports programming went away, a lot of clients like, well, how are we going to reach those viewers because they were buying against sports content? We were able to work with them in a consultative way and show them that the sports viewer hadn't gone away. Their viewing had just moved elsewhere, and we could help them follow that viewer as viewership moved. The second example has been the growth of Effectv's addressable business. we're seeing a significant growth in business coming from addressable as clients look to incorporate addressable as a tactic within a more holistic media plan. And there's been a few drivers behind that. First, the increased scale available of inventory on the Effectv side. And then you combine that with Effective's partnership with Ampersand, where we're able to take our scale and combine it with the scale of other Ampersand partners like Charter, Cox, Verizon, Altice, etc. It makes it really meaningful for brands. And on top of that, we're really proud of the work we've done as part of kind of Comcast Advertising more broadly at enabling more programmers to be lit up or their networks lit up via addressable enablement. And then if you look at the FreeWheel side, FreeWheel is really focused on, as I said, being the sort of the connective tissue for the industry. And that connective tissue thematic is something that is very beneficial to Effectv as well as others. So there are sort of four key things that, as I think about FreeWheel, the business is focused on. The first one's supply unification, which is enabling sellers of inventory to unify their supply across TV and streaming, both on demand and live, and enable also the same targeting, decisioning, and reporting capabilities across this cross-screen supply. The second is demand unification, which is the concept of enabling demand from all channels, including programmatic and other demand sources, to compete in a unified manner, while of course respecting all the necessary requirements for premium. The third is a big theme around interoperability for the ecosystem. And that's about taking an approach that prioritizes the right integrations, the right APIs with walled gardens, with ecosystem partners, including competitive companies to FreeWheel and a client's proprietary tech, all under the intent of unlocking new value for the ecosystem. And that ties to Comcast Advertising position around industry collaboration and taking an approach that will ultimately reduce fragmentation and friction to unlock growth for the industry. And then the final one is around audience activation, which is the role that FreeWheel can help play to reduce friction and simplify how clients can activate against first-party, third-party data, working across multiple identity providers and measurement currencies. So what's great overall for Comcast Advertising is all the assets are focused on solving similar problems, similar opportunities. As I said, it's just from a different vantage point, and we're going to continue just to move that ball forward.
Well, one of the interesting things that Comcast did was publish a couple of really interesting reports. The FAST report about free ad-supported television, and your first Comcast Advertising report. Both of these are really great reports. I learned a lot from looking at both of them. So I was curious if you could just tell us a bit more about what kind of what the future of thought leadership looks like from Comcast Advertising.
Yeah, look, both those reports are great examples of research that went into topics that are timely for the industry. And what I like about them is they provide sort of actionable insights for readers. To answer your question, the future is one where we want to lean in even more with best-in-class thought leadership powered by unique sort of insights that we've got. And so what you've seen so far is a taste of what's to come. And we believe that because of the position we sit in the industry, and because of the assets we've got, we are able to bring some really unique, insightful perspectives to the table. And what we're trying to do is take the different insights that we may have from within FreeWheel versus Effectv versus AudienceXpress versus elsewhere, and try and sort of combine those in a meaningful way to look for interesting insights that are going to be valuable for the industry. So much more to come on that.
Well, that's great. So in the past few years, we've seen a tremendous shift in viewing habits, the growth of streaming. Kind of curious, what are some of the big industry themes and trends that you'll be closely watching?
Sure. Look, there's obviously a ton going on across our industry at the moment. It seems that every day there's some breaking news of something new happening within our world. There's a few themes that we're really focused on. They're not exclusive, the themes we're focused on, but a couple that sort of come to mind. The first one is ties to a core strategy amongst some of the assets within our portfolio. And that's the continued shift to more audience targeted, multi-screen, impression-based transactions, powered again by quality data. The second is being ahead of the impact of regulations and data regulations specifically, and how this sort of intersects with the importance of us as an industry taking a more privacy-centric approach so we can continue to enable advanced advertising while respecting everything that we need to on behalf of the consumer. The third is a focus on how brand and performance marketing work together in a much more sort of intelligent and attributable way. And then the final one for me is around what I think we'll see, which is increasing collaboration and sort of interoperability across ecosystem partners, because I feel that as complexity and fragmentation increases, if we're going to be successful together, there's no choice but to work in a sort of more interoperable way. And that's how I think we'll unlock growth.
Well, finally, James, congratulations again on your new role as president of Comcast Advertising. I just wanted to ask you, we teased at this earlier, about just some career tips or insights that you could offer to our readers, listeners, viewers, et cetera.
Yeah, I would say there's one that matters based on the moment that I'm in at the moment. And it was a great piece of advice that I was once given, in particular, as you go through your career and take on more scope, which many of us do. And that's what made you successful in your last role doesn't necessarily mean it will make you successful in your next role. And what I mean by that is I think that all of us need to be really clear with ourselves with regard to what are those characteristics for each of us, and they're all different. They're different with each of us, that are genuine and authentic to you and sort of make you who you are. That regardless as if you're an individual contributor running a team of 3 people, 10, 50, 100, 10,000, 100,000, that you want to carry those through your career, because they are what make you you, and they're your own secret sauce. And delineating from those things, which should carry through at all stages, from what are the ways of working that will make me successful at scale X versus Y versus Z. And that was a really important piece of advice, because it helped me, and it continues to help me as I take on this new role, to know these are the things that are core to me and will always be true to me, regardless of what role I'm in now or in the future. But also having to think about, okay, what is the right way to be successful in order for me to work for my teammates every single day, to execute on what we want to do in Comcast Advertising, and how I go about doing that may be a little bit different. So that would be the one piece of career advice which I am taking to heart right now myself.